The Beach House, starring Liana Liberato, Noah LaGrasse as Emily and Randall, a young couple headed to a remote beach house for a little rest and relaxation, end up fighting for their lives in more ways than one. Body horror is a unique subgenre of horror that I have always had a fondness for. Of course, you have David Cronenberg and Brian Yuzna and Eli Roth have all made kind of classic body horror movies that are always really fun to watch. There's something unique about body horror in that you really feel like it could happen to you. You just squirm at the thought of Jeff Goldblum as the Fly as he deteriorates, or Cabin Fever as they catch the disease through the water and she's shaving her legs and her skin comes off. There's something about body horror that just makes you squirm. And when I tell you now that The Beach House is the first movie in longer than I can remember that actually made me turn my head and look through my fingers at what I was seeing. I didn't watch a full trailer, as I don't usually with many movies these days, but I dove into Beach House head first and I couldn't be more glad that I did. When we meet the young couple, Emily and Randall, we're introduced to them as they arrive at the lake house, and you get the feeling that maybe something isn't just quite right in their relationship, but they're trying to make the best of it. When we get there, we find out the beach house is actually owned by Randall's parents, and they're there without their knowledge. To rekindle their relationship flame, they decide to go upstairs and have a little fun. When they get done with that, they come back downstairs and they realize they have an uninvited guest. As soon as you have the uninvited guest aspect of the lake house, you think, what is this movie going to be? Are these people dangerous? You don't really know what the threat is quite yet. Later, they find out that these two people are friends of Randall's parents, and they decide to make the best of it. As the couple start to settle in and become more comfortable with each other, they decide to have dinner, and during this dinner they get to know each other and they decide to take some edibles. Now this scene is really cool, and it does a couple cool things in the fact that the couples open up and you get some cool dialogue and you get some good character development, but also it's a good device to distort their perception of what's really going on around them, and they kind of lose focus and they wake up, and that's when things have taken a drastic turn. The outside seems to have particles floating in the air. At one point, a scene closely resembles what looks like the Tree of Life in the Avatar movies. This movie looks awesome. It is extremely well directed by Jeffrey Brown. The framing is immaculate, the colors are really cool, and they do some really cool editing effects to create tension. There's a couple scenes where the director is close up on a person, but your focus is really what's going on in the background, and it is a really interesting way to build tension. Now, although there is some really nasty effects, some really good practical effects, most of the tension and the suspense is drawn from the characters and the close-ups and the subtle nuances of the performances that are really fantastic in The Beach House. From all four actors, it's a very small cast. There's only 4 members of this cast. So it's a really claustrophobic environment for these characters to be in that makes it all that more suspenseful. This movie is a slow burn, but a slow burn in the best way. The performances are great, the scenes are set up fantastic, and the suspense really builds and builds and builds into a climax that is absolutely phenomenal. I was really nervous about how the director would choose to end this movie. I really would have hated to see a cliched ending. But Jeffrey Brown turns out an extremely original way to wrap this movie up that really makes you think. If you are in the mood for a true terrifying body horror movie, The Beach House is absolutely for you. I recommend this for fans of Cabin Fever, Society, Contagion, Outbreak, any of those type of movies. I've seen every gore effect under the sun, and this movie made me squirm in my seat. I literally looked through my fingers and could hardly watch what I was seeing. Guys, I highly recommend The Beach House. You can find it on Shudder right now. Definitely watch it and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.
Nah, I can't do it.